This video was made possible thanks to generous donations from my lovely supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, it's Sonia and welcome to my YouTube channel. As you can see from the title of this video, this is going to be an apartment makeover, deep cleaning and redecorating. Recently I decided to rent a 23 square meter, which is 248 square foot, studio apartment in center of Belgrade. And I'm going to be fully transparent with you. I'm currently paying 160 euros, which is like $190, which is really cheap, especially for center of Belgrade, where usually you can find an apartment under 250 euros, 200 if you're really lucky, which is somewhere between $240 and $300. And if you're watching this outside of Serbia, I realize that these numbers probably sound ridiculously small, but keep in mind that this is Serbia and that our average income is $600 per month. So usually like half of our income or 1/3 of our income go into this rent. And the reason why I'm able to rent an apartment in the first place is because of two reasons. One is the beyond generous support of my Patreon supporters, who not only get this channel going but also help me pay rent. And the second reason why I was able to rent an apartment in Belgrade was because this apartment was in like horrendous state. This was most likely the dirtiest apartment that I have ever stepped a foot into. It was really dirty. The surfaces were covered in thick layers of dust. The walls were extremely dirty. The ceiling was covered in spider webs. The bathroom was covered in limestone. And when I moved the fridge and the cooker, I found probably the biggest layer of dirt that I have ever seen in my life, including a receipt for ramen noodles from 2012. Yes, this apartment officially hasn't been cleaned in almost a decade. And needless to say, when you walked in, it just smelled like somebody died in there. Need to get that good juice going. So this story time, if you will, begins in July. July 1st, I started going apartment hunting. My budget for this apartment hunting was 200 euros for the monthly lease and for the bills. This particular apartment I liked because of two reasons. One of them obviously being that it was really cheap, and the second was the landlord said the magic words. Whatever I asked him, can I repaint the walls? Can I have a dog? Can I throw out the dirty old furniture? His answer to everything was, do whatever you want. So those were like the magic words that bought me and were the reason why I selected this apartment. So let's make one thing clear, Miss Thing. I am broke, but I am the epiphany of broke with expensive taste. I knew that I couldn't live in a horrible apartment, that I wanted a new, clean apartment, but I also knew that I can't afford that. So what I did was I found an old, ruggedy apartment that was dirty, that was cheap, and then cleaned it and redecorated it. So that's another reason why I liked this apartment, because I saw it as a challenge. So I came to Belgrade with 2 suitcases. I was given my keys, I walked in, I left the suitcases, and then went to the city and I bought a bunch of cleaning chemicals and cleaning supplies. And my goal for this first night was to clean the kitchen, to clean the bathroom, and to clean the area where the bed is so that I can prepare a meal, take a shower, and sleep. The first thing that I tackled was the kitchen. I removed all the food leftovers and jars that were left there, and I got to deep cleaning. The top of the shelves were covered in some weird paper that was duct taped to the surface. I was confused to why somebody would duct tape paper to the surface, because then you couldn't swipe it with a wet cloth, but obviously who lived here before me had no intention in cleaning at all, so I don't know what was in their head. I removed the paper, which was also covered in thick layers of dust and spiderweb, and cleaned the surfaces. After I cleaned the shelves, I could finally unpack some of the dishes I had brought with me. I work on a really tight budget, so I tried to bring with me everything that I could that wouldn't break in transport, so that I would have as little as possible to buy here. So I packed between towels, spoons, forks, knives, the pan, and I wrapped 2 of my mugs into sponge and put them into my backpack, and I took care of them. And I bought here everything that would otherwise break in transport, such as plates and glasses and stuff like that. The next thing that I tackled was the cooker. It was covered in some like yellow gooey things, which I think are layers of dried fat and oil from spillage from cooking, and the walls were also covered in splatters. I wiped the dust and crumbs of food off the surface, and then used literally the chemical used to scrub toilets to try to dissolve the fat and the dirt. And the more I was scrubbing, the more dirt was coming off of the burners. But after 5 different rounds, the surfaces were fully clear. The next thing that I tackled was the fridge. It stank pretty bad, and the shelves were covered in food spillage. So I had to take all the shelves out and wash them in the sink and wipe the surfaces inside the fridge. The scariest part was moving the fridge and the cooker, because there were literally the worst layers of dirt that I have ever seen in my life. I covered the thick layers of dirt with cleaning chemicals. I really tried to soak them into it, and once the dirt started dissolving, I tried to scrub it with a sponge, and I did the same with the walls, and ultimately swiped around with a mop. I also cleaned the sides of everything, the side of the fridge and the side of the counter and the side of the cooker, but I didn't really film it because first of all, I couldn't find a good angle, and second of all, I am elbows deep in dirt and wearing gloves, and I just couldn't be bothered to take them off and adjust the camera. But I do have before and after pictures. So this is what it looked before, and this is what it looked after it was cleaned. The next station was the bathroom. The floors and the walls were very dirty. The inside of the shower cabin was covered in thick layers of dirt, mold, and limestone. When I moved the washing machine, behind it was pretty much the same as when I moved the cooker. It just hasn't been cleaned probably ever. And the smell was, whew, let's just say that I felt like I'm performing an autopsy. Let's get the cleaning. So I started lightly by wiping the surfaces, covered the mold and limestone in chemicals so that they would dissolve. I vacuum cleaned behind the washing machine and then just scrubbed the entire bathroom and ultimately wiped the floors. I actually didn't record most of it because the bathroom is so small that I could barely fit inside of it when I was moving the washer, and there was just no way of me fitting the camera and the camera stand, especially finding a good angle, but I did manage to film a couple of videos with my phone. And the last thing that I tackled for the night was obviously the bed. I moved the bed, I swiped with a tiny broom, I cleaned the walls and the floor around it, and after I finished, I could finally unpack my sheets, the one pillow that I brought with me, and go to bed. The kitchen was clean, the bathroom was clean, the bed was clean, I could eat, I could take a shower, I could go to sleep, and it was time to go to bed and spend the night for the first time in my new apartment. Tomorrow, I did some more cleaning around the house. I cleaned the windows. I moved the furniture to clean behind it and wiped some of the cables which were covered in dust. Behind it, I actually found this picture, which is like a school picture from like the last person who lived here, and I tried to give it to the landlord to give to the last tenant, but they parted their ways on bad terms, so he didn't want to take the photo, so now I'm just using it as a bookmark when I'm reading books. And the next assignment was to get this old couch that was falling apart out of my apartment. So, what would a normal person do in my position? Well, a normal person would call their friends, ask them to come over and help her get the couch out. However, I am supremely introverted. I have mastered the art of avoiding all human contact, so I decided to do something different. I took my scissors and then I cut off the covers until it was just a pile of fabric, and then threw that out into the container. Then I used the scissors to rip off the sponge off of the couch until it was just one big pile of sponge, and then threw that away into the container in like a couple of goings. And finally, I had just a bunch of boards and wood in front of me, and I went to a tool store where I bought like a bunch of screwdrivers, and I just unscrewed all the screws and until it was just like a pile of wood, and then threw that out one by one by myself. With the apartment finally clean and everything that I didn't need to be inside of the apartment thrown out, I could finally start with redecorating. I went out and I bought paint. I bought painting tools, as well as the cover for the floors and windows, and a duct tape to adjust them, and I got to painting. The vision that I had in my head was to paint everything white and then get white curtains, because when I film videos, I really enjoy mood lighting, and the best canvas for mood lighting is white because it just looks, good. It reflects the color. Unfortunately, unlike cleaning, I don't actually enjoy painting. I decided to pull an all-nighter, and like halfway through it had a mental breakdown where I was like, I regret doing this. I don't want to do this. This is so hard. I shouldn't have done this. But it's nothing that a bar of chocolate and a 20-minute break can't fix. So I got myself together and started finishing the other wall. Tomorrow I finished the second wall, and the day after that I finished the third wall. Luckily, the fourth wall, the one where the kitchen is already white, so I didn't have to paint that wall. Once the walls have finally dried, I was able to start rearranging the furniture and start decorating it with my own stuff. I brought two different types of curtains from my house because, I've been just sitting around there doing nothing, making YouTube videos, receiving some Patreon support, and I would occasionally buy some things for like my apartment once I move in. And I had these white curtains, which you can see here, and I also had these red curtains, which reminded me of like theater curtains on the stage, and I thought that they would be just a great background for my future videos. And I also saw this like bright red blanket that was the same color as the curtains in a window shop, and I just had to go inside and buy it to cover the couch so that I have a place to sit on while I'm filming videos, and it also matches the curtains, and I thought it would just look beautiful. I also like scrubbed the furniture really hard, and I managed to get the smell out of it, but the color is just disgusting, and it's just beyond help. I had to cover it with something. And the last touch was the sleeping bed. As you can see, I don't really have a sleeping bed. It's I have an old couch made into a bed, which is really hard, and it was really hard to sleep on. Like, I felt like I'm sleeping on the floor, really, really hard. So I brought from my house this like over mattress thing. In Serbia we call it anatomic foam, something like that. And it's something that you put over a mattress to make it, more comfortable and softer. But I had a little problem, and the problem with the mattress was that it was a little bit bigger than the couch. It was sticking on the side, so I took the cover off and I cut the access to make it the same size as the bed. I put the cover back on and then put sheets on top of it to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. I'm not really satisfied with how this looks. I think it kind of looks basic without the bed frame. I would also like to have more pillows, but more pillows means more pillowcases, and I'm working on a really, really tight budget right now, so I can't afford it. But I do plan in the future I will be able to afford a real bed with a real bed frame, with a real mattress, and more sheets, and that I will be able to make it look more chic. So that's it. I think that's the whole process of deep cleaning and redecorating this apartment. I think now it's time for an apartment tour. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you would like to support me, make sure to follow me on Patreon. On Patreon, I post earlier than on YouTube. My supporters on Patreon are credited on the back of all of my videos. Special thanks to Dušan Jeftić, Filip Božanić-Dimovski, Filip Lopičić, Milan, and Miloš Saničar. And they have access to patron-only videos such as my monthly Q&As, where I get to chat with my patrons and answer their questions. However, if you can support me on Patreon every month, you can make a one-time donation by using PayPal. Big shout out to Petar Đorđević, who donated on PayPal this month. And if you want to stay connected with me, make sure to follow me on all of my social media. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!